welcome to Great British Ghosts. Today we're in a rather wet and blustery Lancashire to visit Salisbury Hall near Preston and the Sun Inn here in Chipping. Both are known for their famous female ghosts who both sadly died of broken hearts. First stop, the Sun Inn in the rather appropriately named Windy Street.
The Sun Inn claims to be the most haunted pub in Lancashire, thanks largely to the ghost of Lizzie Dean, a scullery maid who committed suicide up in the pub's attic back in 1835, aged just 20. Local psychic investigator Michelle Stavert agreed to tell me the tragic story.
Lizzie Dean, it's a very, very tragic story. You have a young girl, 19 years of age, a man of consequence, of some wealth, promised that he was going to marry her. He said that he'd cancelled his wedding, that he loved her, he was going to marry her, and she gave herself to him. And it turned out that actually he hadn't cancelled the wedding, and on the day that she was supposed to marry him, he was across the road at St Bartholomew's Church marrying her best friend. Absolutely racked with grief, she went up to the attic, and from the attic window she could see the church, she could see the wedding party going up the path, and she took her own life. When she was found later, it said that grasped in her hand was a suicide note in which she cursed her lover's unborn children, and she requested that she be buried by the gate or on the path, so that every time her lover and her best friend went to the church, they would have to pass her and they would have to feel the guilt and responsibility of her actions. It's a terribly tragic story.
Landlord Rob Hedges has never seen Lizzie himself, but has experienced lots of strange phenomena over the years that he believes could well have been her.
Well, Michaela, let me take you through to the main bar area where I had my strongest experience.
Because you've had quite a few, haven't you, Rob?
Yeah, we certainly have. We certainly have, but this one was the main one for me. I was sat here on my own at night, pub locked up, no one in at all. I was just relaxing, and from here you can just see the staircase over there. And I saw, quite clearly, a woman in an old-fashioned dress walk upstairs. And it was her footwear that really caught my eye, and there were clogs, the style of clogs that they used in the mills around here.
And was that an apparition, or was that a shadow?
No, I think it was quite clear. It was quite clear, and I could even focus on the footwear.
And have other people seen that?
Yeah, there are stories of many people passing her on the stairs and not knowing, and then come downstairs and ask who that person was, who that girl was, and there was no such girl.
Who do you think it could be?
Well, it could well be Lizzie Dean.
So she's been seen a lot in this pub?
Oh, a lot.
By lots of different people?
A lot of different people, certainly.
There are some fabulous stories connected with Lizzie Dean. There's a lovely story of a chap from Edinburgh who was visiting the pub, and as he came in through the door, he actually held the door open for a young girl in period costume to exit the pub down the steps. When he came in and he asked behind the bar, "Oh, that was fabulous, you know, where's the fancy dress pageant today?" He was a little shocked to discover that actually there wasn't anyone in fancy dress on that day. So I think that's a beautiful story. And there's several stories like that where people have actually held doors open for her, or she's interacted with people, and they really have thought that they've been dealing with someone in fancy dress, and that's, again, is a sense of her wanting to continue to be a part of what goes on here.
Let me show you the bar. This actually happened during the day and was witnessed by many of us. But as you can see, where we store the glasses up here, overhangs or actually doesn't overhang the bar by about 6 inches. So it's very difficult for a glass to hit the bar. But a glass came down, hit the bar, bounced quite a few times, strangely, and then flew into the bin and shattered in the bin.
So that really does sound like paranormal activity going on.
Well, it does, doesn't it?
I mean, it almost has to be someone's hand putting it down there and pushing it from side to
definitely,
side.
Definitely, very, very strange.
And has it happened more than once?
Yeah, we've witnessed that a few times.
Really? Anywhere else?
Well, I can show you through here. In this part of the pub, we have a very old game called bull ring, where the object is to swing this brass bull ring against the hook. That's the object anyway, and get it to go on the hook there. Now, the barman was in one day and he heard the sound of it hitting. I can't even do it now. Of hitting that sound and hitting the hook. And when he came in to investigate with nobody else in the pub, it was freely swinging in the middle of the room.
And definitely nobody was there?
There was definitely nobody in.
So that could be a mischievous ghost?
It certainly could be a mischievous ghost.
And could that be Lizzie Dean?
It may well be. But Lizzie, the story in this pub, really centres on the attic upstairs. Obviously upstairs.
Should we go and have a look?
We certainly shall.
One of the lines in Lizzie Dean's suicide note laid a curse upon this man who had let her down so very, very badly. And I think her wording is fabulous. She actually says, "I curse you by all things good and true, your offspring mute and their children too." Now, according to local folklore and myth, that apparently worked. Apparently this chap had 3 children and all of these children were born deaf and mute. Again, it's difficult to place that in as historical fact, but certainly as far as village legend is concerned, it was a very successful curse indeed.
So, Rob, this is the staircase that you saw her on?
That's right, yeah, down the bottom of the staircase.
And other people have seen her too on that staircase?
Yeah, there's quite a few stories about people passing her on the stairs.
And this room?
Well, in here used to be a snooker room. And there's a story that there were several guys in here playing snooker, and a woman walked straight through and go downstairs. There was no woman in the pub, and one of the men would never come back in the pub again since he saw that.
So it looked like a real person, but in fact
yeah, they
it
were
was a ghost.
convinced it was a real person. Let's continue through here into the scary room.
What, the kitchen? And obviously this is the attic room.
That's right. I'll have to
do you want
just
me to
move.
get out
Sorry.
right here?
Okay.
Why did he block it up?
Well, nobody really wanted to go in there, and we were a bit, to be honest, scared of it when we first had the pub.
I guess you need the space.
That's right, and it's just not very convenient to get in. But if you want to go in first.
Oh, really? Do I have to? It's slightly awkward. Oh, OK. Well, I'm glad there's a light in here, Rob. Gosh, it's cold up here, isn't it? So is this the room that Lizzie Dean lived in?
Yeah, this is her quarters, and apparently that is the beam where she hung herself.
What, this beam here?
That one there.
How tragic.
She was watching her friend get married to the man that she loved through that window, and apparently while she was watching that, she put a rope round her neck and hung herself.
Because you can actually see the church, so she must
Yeah.
have seen them go in to get married.
That's right.
It really is a tragic love story, isn't it?
It is. It's very sad. Yeah.
Have you ever felt anything while you've been up here?
Not in this particular room, because I try not to come up in here.
Has anyone else been up here?
Only one guy, one of our barmen, he slept up here for charity one night, but he got himself very drunk before he came up, so...
Wasn't quite in tune with the spirits then, or spirits of a different sort.
Definitely.
Lizzie's not the only ghost here. There are reported sightings of children, and there are people who've been very attached to the building, either as customers or visitors or previous landlords or landladies, are still said to show themselves or let their presence be felt around the place.
OK, Michaela, just like to show you into the stables.
So you've got stables at the back of the pub?
Yeah, we keep some horses here. We breed a few shy horses. I've had them quite a few years now, and I've had quite a strange experience out here.
What, in the stable?
Actually, in the stable itself, yeah.
And so the horses are in here?
That's right.
Whoa, look at the size of them. They're enormous.
They are.
What are their names?
Well, the one nearest to you is Lily.
Hello, Lily. You gonna move so we can get by? Good girl, good girl. She obviously loves you. So what was your experience in here, Rob?
Well, I was waiting for Lily to foal, and I was actually sleeping with her for a couple of nights because I couldn't get the date quite right. And one night I woke up and I was almost paralysed. I felt that I couldn't move anything at all, although I was fully awake. And I thought that she was either pressing her nose down on my chest or stood on me or something, but she wasn't. And then, later on, a few weeks later, we had a séance from a group of investigators, and they mentioned about this little girl that follows me around and really enjoys being with the horses and was there while I was sleeping in the stable.
So do you think that was Lizzie Dean?
No, I don't think so. They called her Bethany. She was a little girl, about 10 years old.
So no idea who Bethany is?
No idea at all, no.
Lizzie Dean doesn't feel that her final requests have been met, and that's why people believe that she's remaining here. She laid her curse and she made a specific request about where she wanted to be buried. Unfortunately, as a suicide, that wasn't possible, and she was buried in the far corner of the church under the elm tree.
The story of Lizzie Dean is one of love, loss, betrayal and tragedy. She died with a broken heart. Her body may be buried here, but her ghost lives on just the other side of the graveyard.